for the 6 months we've shared since our last congregational gathering. Thank you for our worship, our invitations, our service, our nurturing of your people. Bless our continued work as we move forward with optimism, with faithfulness, and most of all, with the love of Jesus in our hearts and minds and actions. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. So for the agenda, the first item of business is to approve the congregational meeting minutes. They are found on page 5 in your packet. Could I have someone make a motion to accept those minutes? A motion from Carl Camarada, seconded by John Pritchard. Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye. The next item for business is the property report. I don't know if you would like to say anything about property. Our property chair is Travis Crum, who's been very busy, always, even after the renovation.
Good morning. I just wanted to think the main kind of work that we'll be doing in the second half of the year will be work to install our new signs at the corner of 352 and Green Lane, and the new sign that's going to be installed on the building. So there's 2 different signs. That will be kind of the focus of our work in the second half of the year. We did learn from Westtown Township that we will need to kind of petition the township to allow the type of sign that we want on our lot, because it's a kind of institutional use. So that kind of negotiation with the township is ongoing, but we expect kind of some resolution to that in August and September. So that's why the installation of the sign at 352 and Green Lane has been delayed. Otherwise, we really are just doing some kind of continued ongoing maintenance, and I think we're all kind of thankful not to have many big projects behind us at this point. Are there any questions?
Kind of went a little bit out of order. Alex, if you would want to come forward and present the financial report. The financial report is found in your packet. It starts on page 10 with a summary, and then the numbers in more detail follow.
Morning.
Good morning.
Thank you, Pastor. For those who don't know me, I'm Alex White. I'm from Broomall. I usually attend the early service with my wife, who's in the back, and my son Mila, who's 2, or my daughter Mila, who's 4, my son Mila, who's 2. If you haven't seen us around, you may have seen Hudson featured in a recent e-blast with a face full of cake pop from the from the recent hospitality. So I accepted the treasurer position about a month ago. Had the opportunity to attend a council meeting. So I just wanted to say thank you to Pastor and to the council for entrusting me with your confidence to fulfill the treasurer role. And credit also to my predecessors who really left things set up in a very organized way. So it was quite easy to kind of get a handle of things. So look forward to serving. With that, turning to the financial update, as Pastor mentioned in the materials, there's the written summary, which kind of highlights some key activity from the year to date. That's followed by the operating income statement for the first 6 months of the year, and then that's followed by the balance sheet. So I'll refrain from reading through every line on those financial statements, but just to give a summary, Advent's finances remain in a strong position. We're very pleased to see that the member offering is in line with and even slightly exceeding the plan for the year so far. And some of the council members had noted that that was very appreciated, given that we're coming out of sort of an inflationary environment, uncertainty about where the economy is going. So I think with the consistency we've seen with that, we're confident that we can continue to count on that on an ongoing basis. On the expense side, expenses remain slightly under budget year to date. So that together has left us with a modest surplus on a year-to-date basis, which means that on top of continuing to fund the ongoing operations, we've been able to continue seeding some of the other funds as well, which I think you'll be hearing more about in some of the coming agenda. And really, again, credit to my predecessors for forming a budget that has proved to be largely quite accurate for the year so far. And then turning to the balance sheet, I think you'll notice year over year, it's fairly consistent at an aggregate level with where we were last year, if not slightly improved. You'll see current assets are up, liabilities are down. That's mainly due to the mortgage, which is at about half of what it was at this point last year. So that means the fund balances are increased, kind of commensurate with the increased assets and the lower liabilities. So overall, Advent is in a healthy financial position. You know, that's hardly a given these days with churches. So I think we're all very grateful to see that, and gives us great confidence. So with that, I'll take any questions anyone has. Okay, thank you.
Could I have a motion to accept the treasurer's report? Josh, second. Trent, Seaman. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. I will make a note that we had our books recently audited and did very, very well, but there is an outstanding question about how we account for our mortgage and what's actually income versus activity, and that will be clarified for you all at the congregational meeting. We kind of use fund accounting, which is a little bit different than an income statement type thing, and so we might have to watch how we name some of our reports, but all was in order. We did really well with the audit. So the next report is, all in favor, say aye. Opposed? All right, our next report is by Alex, our preschool and Sunday school.
Good morning. I will be standing in for Janie just to give a quick update on Sunday school. With our current school year that just ended, we were seeing on average between 5 and 10 students a morning, some new students that were coming in and out, and we love seeing our regulars. What was neat this year was we had 6th graders who were volunteers that were helping through Sunday school, so there were some big kids, and that helped provide some activity for students that were in that gap between Sunday school and confirmation class to keep them engaged and involved in the church, which is a wonderful program this year. VBS is looking at strong enrollment. When the report was written, it was 44. I believe right now we're up to like 48 students for Vacation Bible Camp. Same core group of volunteers, including the student volunteers, are coming back this summer. And we again will be partnering with preschool to do a back to school supply drive during VBS for students that are in need. So that will be what we'll be doing throughout our VBS camp as our service component. Questions about Sunday school at all? Wonderful. Do you want to do the vote on Sunday school, or do you want me to just keep going through preschool and do
No, I think we're just gonna do them all together, right?
all together? Absolutely fine. So preschool, we are set next year with 64 students across 5 classrooms. So over 4 years, we have literally doubled our enrollment, so yay. We are looking at an amazing year. So it is one where we wrapped up our year. We exceeded our budget income by approximately $35,000. We did have a slight increase in cost. We are expected next year, our overall gross tuition is budgeted out to be around $335,000. So we are in a healthy place financially. It allows us to do things that give back. That means that we can contribute to capital projects throughout the building. We can do improvements for the preschool, and all of our teachers continue to receive annual increases in compensation. So we make money so that we can spend money to make things better. To that end, our big project that we are looking at coming up in the upcoming year is renovating the playground. There is currently an estimate in. The preschool board will review it. Once they have reviewed and approved us using funds, that will then move forward to council, and then those plans will be presented to the congregation and everyone will get a chance to see it. So we are very excited to move forward with that. As you walk through the education wing, you'll see some small minor changes, some new furniture, a little bit of a refresh on the organization so things aren't quite as cluttered. And the windows have been redone, the blinds will go up. So usually the weekend before Rally Day, we invite people to come in and see the education wing, to see the preschool all set up for the school year. So I'm sure we'll do that again this year. Are there any questions about the preschool? Wonderful. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I apologize. I've been going through these reports completely out of order because I've been looking at the minutes from last year's annual meeting. So we'll move next to the endowment report. And Walt is here if you want to say a couple of words. Walt is the chair of our endowment committee. Can you come up here so people can hear you online? And let's make a motion to accept the Christian Ed report and the preschool report. Is there a motion? Carl, a second? All right, Mark, all in favor? Discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, we're good.
Okay, the endowment report is short and sweet. After a lot of hassle, we finally got it up and running last January. It was fortuitous that the market has gone up since then, so we're actually made some money now. And we're also fortunate to have two additions to the fund. Any questions? Thank you.
All right, the capital campaign report is in front of you. Charlene is out of town, but we have completed the capital campaign. We exceeded our goal, and after we purchase the electronic sign, hopefully that will be all approved by the borough. There will be some remaining funds in the Under This Roof campaign, and it will be distributed to support youth ministry, outreach, and capital improvements. There's not going to be a whole lot left over, but maybe like 15,000 or so. So we will beef up some of our existing funds with that. The capital campaign report is on page 16. Can I have a motion for its approval? Walt moved, a second. Several seconds. I saw Doug Klein's hand first. Yes. We continue to receive money for the Under This Roof campaign because some people have automatic giving and are continuing to give, and we can't take that down until you cancel that. So please, or give us permission to cancel it for you. So thank you for your additional generosity with that. The next report in here is Care and Connections Report. Lynn Sorrell is down the shore right now, so she can't be here. But we had a really successful Rise Against Hunger event. We continue to do bingos and hymn sings at Aventura Nursing Home. Additionally, several members visit there on a regular occasion, and some of those residents have no visitors, so that is greatly appreciated. Could I have a motion to accept that report? All right, it was motioned by Sam Young, seconded by Pat Warheide. Further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Then we have the memorial report, and you can see that we've spent a lot of memorial funds in the past 6 months. It is our belief that people give to the memorial fund to have something to show for it, not just to hang around in a bank account where it can all too easily be used for intentions that were not advisable. So one of the memorials that we finally had installed and paid for was the Praise the Lord new stained glass window behind our Allen electronic organ. We also had a new coffee maker that we'll be enjoying in the fall, that was installed by Evan Seaman. You can see who that was given for. $1,000 was from Nort Seaman's remaining memorial that went to the endowment fund. The windows, it was actually several memorials they're mentioned in there. We'll have new Advent wreath liquid-filled candles, so they'll be much easier for the acolytes to light and won't have to be replaced year after year. That's a memorial for Ruth Rentschler. And then a bunch of remaining funds, most with the permission of the family, are going to a new sign on our building. So the main sign facing 352 will now say Advent Church and Preschool. It's going to have sharp, or quite large aluminum black painted letters, and they will be backlit by LEDs at night. The present letters have been there about 15 years. They're plastic and they're quite small and hard to read. And the Chinese church is also going to add their name to the building, and that will be like right above this wall, facing Green Lane in a similar fashion, including Chinese characters. And our council believes it's a wonderful thing for the community as a whole to see that two churches actually meet here, because the church is not the building, it is the people. And the same thing with that electronic sign for the community at large to know that there's many groups that meet here for the betterment of our community. Remaining designated funds, there are only about $2,600 in remaining funds, and those are being designated for a new cross to be installed by the outdoor chapel. The present cross is a 4x4 wood cross. It's actually 3 5/8 inch by 3 5/8 inch because it's trimmed down. It's been patched up, it's been painted, and it's really falling apart. The new cross will be 3 inches by 6 inches, so it will be quite bold, and it will also be a couple feet higher. And that should be, we haven't signed the contract yet, but we're getting very close. And so that will pretty much clear out the memorial fund, just leaving about $1,500 in that fund. So that's an update for the memorials. Could I have a motion to accept the report? Carl Murata, a second. All right, Sue Peck. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. We did the property report, we did the Sunday school report, and worship and music. I think you all know what that's all about. We experience that every Sunday. I think the really good news is our worship attendance was up by 4 people for the first 6 months of this year, and July has been off to a strong start as well. And one of the real joys has been having a huge praise team over the summer. I think it portends that for the fall, we're likely going to have to split the team and have some people sing at the early service and some people sing at the late service. And we also have Clary Arison that continues to lead singing at the early service when she's available. So I just want to give a round of applause to Jamie and the praise team for really, you know, it was a struggle after COVID for a while. And even before COVID, it was a little bit of a struggle. But I think going to a praise format instead of a choir has really worked well for us. And so the other thing is a leadership update. Kathy Williams, who does our PowerPoints every week and who is worshiping right now and participating in this meeting right now online, has agreed to co-chair the Worship and Music Committee with Dave Offit. So that will be a welcome change. So can I have a motion to accept the Worship and Music Committee report? And a second? The first was Walt Warheide. Second was Tori Seaman from the Dominican Republic. All right. So now you have my report. Oh, we need a discussion. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. All right. Now you have my report. And the beginning of my report kind of focuses on the fact that we've accomplished a lot together in the last 12 years, between renovating the whole facility and many thanks to Travis for his many hours, you know, and especially being an architect and donating all of his services that we could have such a wonderful worship space. This started off, it was just going to be new pews. And they were going to be much like the old pews. And thank you to Charlene Underwood that said we got to do more, and then to Travis for spending many countless hours and dealing with some difficult personalities. You know, it's tough. It's tough to change worship space, but I think we really have a beautiful place to worship. And I get to show lots of people our church for the first time. And, you know, they always said, oh, it's nice. And now they walk in and it's like, wow, this is beautiful. And I think they can imagine their future weddings and baptisms and what like here. And one of the things that brought me great joy when this was first completed was we had a flea market. And Susan Sam, one of our charter members, was running into friends from the community. And every one of them, she said, oh, you got to come inside. You got to see our beautiful new church. And that coming from a charter member, I think, was especially wonderful. So I do have some focus on here. Just, we do need to do a stewardship program this fall. So please, if someone can help with that, it's a short-term commitment. We'll probably start in late August, early September, and you'll be done by November. So it's just a couple of meetings to help with that. I'd like us to become more intentional about welcoming first-time guests. We do have the welcome table, but I'm looking for people that might be willing to occasionally visit someone, drop off the altar flowers, even maybe someone that I knocked on their door and they said they were interested in Advent. Maybe just dropping by and, you know, dropping off a bulletin or just introducing yourself, not visiting. It's just meant to be a really short visit, like, hey, I'm so-and-so from Advent, just would like to thank you for worshiping with us, hope you'll come again. Or, I understand Pastor Chris met you and said you were interested in our church. I'd love to see you some Sunday in Sunday morning worship. And then leave. You know, you're coming unannounced. So it's not meant to be a long visit. So that's what I mean by intentionally welcoming. We hope to launch a new monthly women's gathering. The men meet every month for Bible study and breakfast, and we have as few as 4 and as many as 8. And I'm thinking that the women might like to do something like that as well. So keep that in mind if you are interested. Probably would be a Saturday morning type thing. Please speak to me. I do have a couple people that have already stepped forward with interest in leading that. So the last item is new business, and I was alerted that there would be some new business. So at this time, I'd like to call on Trent Seaman.
Good morning. My claim to fame is I'm Nort Seaman's son. This church has been around since 1967, 68, and it's been visionary, and we've grown through Christ and through leadership. Here it goes. Pastor's going to retire in about 5 to 10 years. We'll be without leadership. How do we draw the best and brightest to Advent Lutheran Church to continue to thrive through Christ? We have to offer the best possible opportunities for a new pastor, young, old, whoever it may be. But we're blessed to live in an incredible area. We're also living in a very high-cost area. In order to get the best pastor, the best opportunity to come here, it's my feeling that we need to buy a house or a townhome in this area. Trent, how are we going to do that? The church is paid off in October of 2025. That frees up $2,500 for an opportunity. I'm not saying this is immediate. I'm not saying it has to be done now, but we have to think to the future. I want in 25, 30 years, is Advent going to be here? And it's going to be through leadership. And on my gravestone, I want to say, was he a good and faithful servant? And that's what I'm doing. I'm asking everybody to commit to a huge ask. To make Advent a going concern moving forward, we need the best and the brightest. And as Pastor said many times, clergy is dwindling. And I want the best clergy we can get. So if we offer that person Advent Lutheran Church, we can't pay you $200,000, but we have a townhome that you can live in with 3 bedrooms, 2.5 baths, and parking for you and your 2 kids and your wife or your husband. It's an incredible opportunity. Well, Trent, that's a huge risk. Yes and no. Because let's say the next pastor we get's just like pastor and he loves to garden, he wants to live there. Now we're stuck with this house, right? No, we rent it and we generate income, and it pays for itself or close to it. Here's the bad part. To buy a place like that in this area right now, we're going to have to spend between $500,000 and $750,000. That's a big peanut to swallow. So I'd like to propose that in 2025 in October, when the church mortgage is paid off and we have positive cash flow of $2,500, that those monies are set aside for the potential to buy a property for a future pastor at Advent Lutheran Church. We're extraordinarily blessed to have pastor living in that house over there, which is wonderful, but he likes to garden and take care of all that stuff. If I was the pastor, you all would be doing the gardening, because I hate it. So, joking when I say that, I do a little bit. So that's my proposal and my thoughts. It's aggressive, but where are we going to be in 25, 30 years? Are we going to be able to get another Pastor Chris or the next pastor who's going to lead this church and to offer Christ through Advent Lutheran Church? Because I think this is an amazing place, and I think it's something that we need to do, and God gives us visions, and this is mine. Questions, comments, bow and arrows, punches, anything? Pastor?
Yeah, I want to say that the leadership, Trent came with this idea several years ago at a Christmas open house at my house. And in discussions that followed, initially it was to build on to the parish house. And we just felt that a better opportunity would be to acquire an additional property, because maybe the next pastor would be single or would have a small family. But that parish house is only about 1,300 square feet. So it is quite small, only 1 bath. And the kitchen functions as both the kitchen and the laundry room. So I think a lot of people would not be happy with that. So what Trent's motion basically is for us as a congregation, when we plan the 2025 budget, once the mortgage is paid off, to start to leave that money in the budget. And instead of going for the mortgage, it would go to a fund that one day could be used to hopefully acquire a additional property. It would not be permanently restricted for that. You know, things change. Maybe a different opportunity or a better opportunity surfaces one day. And so by congregational action, that fund could be used for anything, basically. But the idea is, for a budgeting standpoint, if we could afford about $2,500 a month right now to pay the church mortgage, once that is gone, can we budget to continue to put that money aside to have an opportunity potentially in the future to acquire property at an opportune time? You know, we don't know when that is. You've got plenty of time to do that. So that is the motion that Trent was making. Did I get that correct?
You did. You want me to do it?
Yes.
I'd like to motion that we set aside the $2,500 when we pay off Advent's mortgage for a potential purchase of a house. Again, those funds will not be locked into that, and if for emergency, we need them. But that is my motion. Would anyone like to second that? Third, or first, or second?
No discussion.
Any discussion?
Daggers.
Discussion. Oh, God.
Sally has a question.
Yes. We have. The cost to that is excessive, and then we displace pastor, and he'd have to live. And that's probably a 12-month project. And that property, as it is, would probably still rent for $1,500, $1,600, $1,700. So we could do it, but it would involve more pain than I think we're willing to take. So I think my thoughts moving forward, if we have another property, it offers the church flexibility, because that next pastor could say, I want to live there. I have no problems. I get that. But to blow that up and make it two-story and everything else is probably going to be $350,000 just to do that.
Yeah, and I also want to point out, a lot of money has been spent on that parish house. It was always small. It was really a dive 12 years ago, but it is not now. It is a really nice and comfortable home. So it kind of would be a shame to undo what people contributed to that in doing major renovations. And Travis, who's an architect, very much endorsed the idea of going out and buying a second property rather than trying to change this. And I think that's based on just your sense of the home and its layout and whatnot.
Any other questions?
Not so much as a question, but just a statement for the minutes. I just think that number-wise, right, it's just smart to have for the minutes, is that 30 grand a year times 10 years is halfway to a house in 10 years from now. Who knows what the prices are, but just so we have that for the minutes, that we're still looking at, that could be upwards of $300,000.
And if, just as a thought, someone could donate a house to Advent too, and then we have all these funds. That's probably not going to happen, but it's a possibility. You never know what could happen. So it's an opportunity, and like I said, for me, my thoughts are, how do we get the best leadership through Christ? And this is an opportunity that Advent has coming up in December. Any other questions?
Question. So, clarifying statement, this is not going, we're going to move forward with the nomination of setting this money aside, but its end result is not explicitly for buying a house.
It is, for me, it's explicitly, those monies will not be locked in for that purpose. In other words, if we have an issue at Advent, we need a new bathroom, those funds can be used for anything. I'm just giving us the option to have funds set aside so that if something does come up, we can strike. Does that make sense?
So if we, in a couple of years, decide that, hey, we have this pot of money here, and we decide
Correct.
By
Correct.
congregational action.
Yes.
It would have to be congregational
Yeah.
action, because congregational action is coming from the congregation as a motion.
This is monies that it's too much to just say we're locking it into this. You know, the options we have to have flexibility at admin.
Is that already in motion?
It will be,
I'm recording it all, so I can pull it back out again.
yes. These funds are not exclusive to purchasing a new home. They're for any,
And could be changed by
and it could be,
congregational action.
again, it could be changed if an opportunity comes or we get a house somehow, then it changes.
Is there any opportunity for some interest-bearing
Yes.
investments as opposed to just keeping it in the fund?
Oh, absolutely. That would,
Hold on, Travis is quiet, so can you just repeat what Travis just said, please, Pastor, for the minutes? Or Travis, could you just speak up, please, just for the
Yes, yeah, my question was if there is an opportunity to have an interest-bearing investment rather than just putting it in a fund. If that can be considered this motion.
I would actually suggest that would be mandatory. So, because we can't just sit and have it in a bank making 1%. Jesus wants us to use our talents. So how about that one? I would think that we would put it into a account that would bear some interest.
The value, it would also decrease too if we didn't have something that.
Correct. So,
Could actually bring ourselves along.
correct. And you know, you can buy a CD for 5% right now. It's kind of a no-brainer. So, anything else? No, I don't. Who had anyone else?
Gary?
Mr. Kamen.
You have an endowment committee.
We do.
This is on investment.
We do. I don't trust those guys, but we do.
But you could also, you could set that aside as a separate fund under the endowment umbrella for them to monitor the best way to invest it to increase its income.
We could mirror the endowment fund, but that would again be congregationally driven. But that would make sense because we have some pretty talented people doing that, excluding myself.
Another question?
Any other questions? Oh,
True that some churches give the pastor a housing allowance?
yes.
Yeah, let me speak to that. Churches are getting rid of their parsonages left and right, and everyone thinks that that's always the right thing to do. And our previous bishop said churches in high-cost real estate areas should never get rid of their parsonage because it's really tough because a housing allowance for a family to live in this area is going to be huge, and that doesn't then leave much for salary. So if anyone says, oh, well, our church is getting rid, churches in high-cost areas that get rid of parsonages usually regret that. So that's the trend, but not in high-cost areas. And we are among the highest cost real estate in the state of Pennsylvania.
I have to do it, sorry. Wait, for the sake of minutes, I just feel like we need to like recap.
Right.
Because it's kind of shifted a lot from what Trent said originally. So if we can just recap and then agree to the recap, if that's okay with everybody, like just, again, for minutes purposes, and so everybody leaves with this, we're all on the same page. So it should be that when the mortgage is paid off in November, I believe it's November, not October.
It's October now.
Oh, okay, so when it's paid off, the plan is to take the $2,500 per month that would have been otherwise going towards the mortgage payment. Yep, thanks, Jen. So that we would be putting that money, so again, recap, I have it on my recording, but the $2,500 that would be going towards the mortgage payment starting October of 2025 is now going to be earmarked for, if I heard it correctly, a fund with the endowment group. You're not nodding, though? No. Possible, okay, a possible fund within the endowment group to be managed. Should we add an or, just for minutes? Or an interest-bearing fund that would increase our financial opportunity. earmarked for, but not restricted to, purchase of an additional residential space.
And let's be clear, we can clarify this, have it in writing to the whole congregation
Right.
to reapprove it at the annual meeting.
Okay.
Just good for our budgeting purposes.
Yeah.
To know this is the intent of the congregation.
And so then we feel like everybody's on the same page. Walking out the door today, we're all on the same page. Okay, so I make a motion to, no, you need to make a motion to accept what I just said.
I make a motion to accept what she just said. You first, sir.
Josh?
Josh, and a second, Jen Hayes.
Thank you.
I'll give you money later. Thank you.
Motion put out in the e-blast, and if you want to make any comments or suggestions, and then it will be represented at the congregational meeting in January. But we wanted to get the will of the congregation. So all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Any further discussion?
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you.
All right, one no. All right.